Hey, Spartan fans, welcome into this latest edition of the Michigan State Spartans Insider Podcast. I'm your beat reporter from Michigan State Spartans on SI, Aidan Champion. Fall camp is here. This is the first week of it, and I'm getting the sense that, after a long off season where, yeah, there was football talk here and there, but there were a lot of questions, and there still are. But I felt like there was a lot of pessimism, um, not just from fans, but the general outlook hasn't been great for Michigan State. I think that's still the case as far as the national perception. But I do feel now that fall camp is here, I feel like the fan base, Michigan State fan base, is getting a little up for this season. I think they're liking what they're hearing. I should say you guys are liking what you're hearing um and what you're seeing, and I think you should. I've been saying that I think this team's going to be improved, still feel that way. What that improvement looks like, what extent that is, that's to be determined. But I do think they make a bowl game. Um, I think that should be the bare minimum. I mean, I think you got a really solid path to a bowl game, especially if you start off strong. But the other day I predicted 8 wins, not including a bowl game, um, which I hadn't, said a whole off season. I said 8 wins was a reach. Might still be a reach because there's some games I predicted that could go another way that I don't feel as sure about. But um, but I had been saying around the 7 win mark for most of the offseason, but I feel differently, and I feel that there's a path here to 8 wins. I mean, you look at last season, they should have made a bowl game. They know it. There are some games here and there they should have won. And you think of just how close they were, and then you look at how much turnover they had. Very new team, new regime, new quarterback, lot of new pieces. And so now you're returning a lot of that. It's year two. You've got guys who were younger last year now have gained experience, are expected to take that next step. So I think this team has the potential to surprise everyone. And eight wins would be a major surprise because I think the consensus is everyone just is hoping for a bowl game. And um, I think they can go beyond that. But so what does that mean? If they do. And I know I'm looking far down the road by asking that when fall camp just started, but it's something you got to think about. I mean, you're thinking long term with this program, and you're thinking about, especially when you see what other programs do, like with Indiana and Signetti, those major leaps that they take in in a new regime. It feels like there's not much patience, not much grace given anymore in college football. So I feel like a lot of fans are really hoping that this Jonathan Smith regime is the one that gets Michigan State back on its feet and, you know, seen as a national or a prominent program, not just in the Big Ten, but nationally. And I think they want it to happen rather soon because there's just been so much hurt, so much, so many setbacks and disappointment, so much disappointment. And this is something I've been saying that is going to be a gradual build. But I think after this season is when you really got to kind of skyrocket. Um, and a lot of it will depend on to what extent they are improved this year. So I guess what I'm asking, what does a successful season this year mean for the future of Michigan State, the Jonathan Smith regime? So what do you call successful? Probably making a bowl game. I think most fans, you make a bowl game, would be satisfied with that. If you lose the bowl game, maybe there's a little disappointment, especially since this seems like a good window to really kind of create separation from where you were as a laughing stock to a team that's viewed with more respect around the Big Ten. And do you necessarily get that when you win 6 games and lose a bowl game? It's something to build off, certainly. But when you get to that point, um, you may feel different about whether or not this was a good season. So I would say what's truly successful would be 7 wins, um, whether that be 7 wins, then lose a bowl game, or 7 wins, including a bowl win. So 6 games, regular season, bowl game win. Um, that to me I would classify that as a successful year. So if you have that, what does it mean going forward? Well, we already saw that Michigan State had tremendous success recruiting the class of 2026. June was um it was pretty, I don't even know what word to use, but maybe I guess amazing. I hate throwing around that word, but when you consider where recruiting was, um I mean it was a lot like just the program as a whole. It was, people were laughing at it, and you go into June with only 4 commits, and then you had 17 the month of June, and then you've had one in July so far. You've already got some momentum in that department. Um, and then you're likely returning Nick Marsh, especially considering what he said at Big Ten Media Days about turning down more money to stay at Michigan State. I think um, you wouldn't have to worry about him leaving, especially after a successful year. Um, he's bought in. I feel like he would be even more bought in next year, especially if he has the season that we're all expecting him to. And by that, I mean something where by the end of the season, we're looking at him as one of the best wide receivers in the Big Ten. And then going into next year, looking at him as a guy to watch for as one of the top receivers in next year's draft or the 2027 draft. And then Aiden Childs, similar thing. Unless Aiden Childs really separates himself as um, one of the best, like a top 10 quarterback in college football. Um, yeah, I expect him to stay. And then you also have a benefit there of having Cade Kaufman behind him, 4-star quarterback who supposed to, anticipate to be the future quarterback of the program. He gets to play behind Childs, learn from him at a point when, well, if Childs has a great year, he's learning from a quarterback going into his senior year who's now being nationally recognized as, one of the best quarterbacks in the country, or the potential to be. Uh, I'd rather say that the potential to be. Um, and like I said, it's a lot like Nick Marsh. I think by the end of this season, you're kind of hoping, if you're a Michigan State fan, that Marsh is one of the best wide receivers in the Big Ten. Childs, one of the best quarterbacks in the Big Ten. Um, that's where they both should be. And by one of the best, I mean top five, top three. That's how much potential there is because there's a lot of talent in the Big Ten, particularly at quarterback. A lot of great quarterbacks in this conference. Um, so then you're returning them, and you've already got a great class 2026, which could still see some more commits trickle in here from that class. But then you're setting the bar high now, so you're expected to have an even better 27 recruiting class, and there's no reason to doubt that they would, considering what they did with this class. And then if they have a successful year, and J Bat now going to help with fundraising, and now money's going to become a factor for Michigan State, and they'll be able to catch up with the rest of the country, or the rest of you know, the big time programs who, have really been able to thrive in the recruiting department because of money. Um, whether you like it or not, that's just the direction we're headed in and already are in. So I'd expect an even better 2027 recruiting class. And then you'll probably have some higher quality portal additions as well. Jonathan Smith and his staff have done a good job in the portal since they've gotten here, but no one that's you know who was like a former five-star recruit or just a top tier level transfer. They just haven't been able to target them just because of where they're at. Um, or haven't been able to land them, whether or not they've been targeting them. I don't necessarily know the aggression, how that aggression has been, but so then you're looking at that. You've got an opportunity there to you're a much more appealing program, not only um, money wise, but you're winning, and you're Jonathan Smith proves now that this program's on the rise and that it's only getting better while he's here. So it's going to be a place that players will want to play. They'll see the vision and how it's coming to fruition in East Lansing, in arguably the best conference in college football. So this, we talk about the bad that would come um from a bad season, or at least falling short again of a bowl game. At least I talked about it um on an episode where I kind of looked at worst case scenario for the season. But if you look at what good could all come from a successful year, this is there's a lot of good there, and all you're asking for is maybe one or two more wins. Um, so when you look at it that way, there's a lot riding on this year, and that should just get you feeling even more amped up about the potential of this program and what could be coming down the road. So there is a lot to be hopeful for with Michigan State. As always, thank you guys for tuning in. Very much appreciate your engagement. And we're less than a month away now from kickoff Friday night, August 29th against Western Michigan at Spartans Stadium. It'll be here soon, just as we had said fall camp would be, and now fall camp's here. Now August nearly here. Cannot believe it. Summer has flown by. Um, again, thank you for supporting us and for tuning in. You can read all of our content on Michigan State Spartans on SI, giving you daily content to keep you in the loop on everything Michigan State football and other Spartan sports. Um, Hope you all have had a great week and are looking forward to the weekend. Thanks.